Thank you for joining me today on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm Jeff Phillips, and I got something I want to share with you today that I hope you'll find helpful. Traditional archery, as you guys know, is a huge growing sport, and day by day, more people make the switch from their compounds and their crossbows and whatnot to wanting to shoot a recurve or a longbow, and especially hunt with them. So it's a huge growing trend, guys, and you know, I've been in it a long time, but seems like every day I'll either get a message or a call from somebody saying, you know, hey, this is my first year, I'm just getting into it, I'm trying to soak all this up and figure out, okay, what do I need to do to be able to actually kill deer with one of these bows? Okay, well guys, I will tell you, first of all, it takes practice. It definitely takes practice, whichever style you go with, whichever method you choose to go with it. You got to dedicate the time. It's called a traditional journey for a reason, because when you take up that journey, you pretty much commit yourself to mastering your bow, whatever bow that is you have. I shoot multiple bows, but they're all identical in pretty much. I have, like, this one particular one is 51 pounds. I generally shoot a 46-pound bow. That's kind of my comfort zone. I like the 51-pound bow because of the power when it comes to a hunting bow. I want maximum performance out of a bow that is going to hopefully allow me to shoot a little bit further, or a heavier arrow, or whatever the case may be, but I still have to be able to shoot it very comfortably and consistently. So guys, I've shared this in older videos before, that if you're overbowed, you're fighting a losing battle. You're just not going to do any good. That I can promise you. You're going to find yourself really struggling to hit a consistent anchor and to execute your shot the same every single time. That's what's going to happen, and you're going to get frustrated because you can't keep your groups where they need to be. Being overbowed is not a good thing, and it does not take that much, guys, at all to kill deer. I am finding that with the right sharp broadhead, the right front of center on your arrow, the right arrow setup in general, which I've got a completely separate video coming up soon, guys, that covers everything about arrow selection as far as hunting arrows go. But you can take whitetail deer with a fairly well-placed shot with an extremely lightweight bow, and we're talking 30s, high 30s to low 40s anytime you want to, guys. That is perfectly fine weight to hunt deer with. Yes, it is. The more the merrier, of course, but you don't have to be overbowed. There's just no need for it. Now today's video is going to deal with shooting pure instinctive shooting. Okay, and guys, I understand there's a big movement out there trying to sway instinctive shooters away from shooting instinctive and go to an aiming system. I know it, I read it, I see it every day, guys, and you know, I understand if a fella is struggling and he just cannot shoot instinctive, if it just doesn't work for him, then absolutely find you an aiming method that you can be accurate with, because you've got to make a good shot no matter what. When the moment of truth comes, you cannot blow it. You've got to do whatever you have to do that works for you. Now, for the masses of guys that have always shot instinctive, or may have gotten away from it and came back to it because it's in their heart, it's in their nature, it's what they want to do with their trad bow, like me, I kind of look at it as excuse me, if I wasn't shooting a purely instinctive method, if I wasn't doing that, I believe I'd go back to a compound. God honest truth. I shot compounds for years, and I honestly believe that if me personally, if I had to depend on an aiming system of any kind other than split vision, which is perfectly fine in the world of instinctive shooting, because you are still shooting instinctive, you're just allowing your peripheral vision to more or less notice the position of your arrow, at least in relation to the target left and right. It gives you a ballpark. You're not looking at the arrow, you're looking at your spot, but your peripheral does see it, and that comes in with shooting 3 fingers under. Anytime, guys, you shoot 3 under, that arrow is going to be higher to your eye. Your eye is going to be in a much closer alignment to that arrow, and you will be able to more or less see generally where that arrow is headed, okay? And that is purely fine. It is great. It's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And there is nothing wrong with gap shooting if that's what you need to do to tighten up your groups and to shoot consistent. However, it's just a personal thing with me, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail. I know I'm going to get a lot of messages about it and a lot of backlash, but I'm just sharing with you guys what I personally choose to do. Now, everybody's different, and you have the choice to do what you want, and the worst thing that can happen in traditional archery is for somebody to bash someone's shooting style, no matter what it is. And I will never do that, because however a man chooses to take a single string bow, a stick bow, and shoot that bow and be able to put an arrow where it needs to go, amen, great and fine, let it be. And he should never be put down for his style, and he should never be told that he needs to do something differently. Absolutely not, unless he is struggling, okay? So getting back to instinctive shooting, guys, why I choose to shoot instinctive and why I went to split finger versus my 3 under, which I shot for years, is because it forces me to shoot pure instinctive. Now, I've had guys say, Jeff, there is no such thing as pure instinctive. There is no such thing. I don't want to argue, but if you would just please go out there, take your bow, and shoot split finger. It is so difficult to reference an arrow. Your gap would be ridiculous. You just can't do it. And I don't hold long enough to do a lot of any kind of aiming. My focus is on what I want to shoot, and I shoot it, and that's it. End of story, done. That's just what I do, and I love it. Why do I love it? Because it is simple. It is just simple archery. Now, to take that, which is so enjoyable, instinctive archery, instinctive shooting, even split finger shooting, pure instinctive, looking at a spot, drawing back and shooting that spot. How do you develop consistency? How do you develop real accuracy? Anything like what a guy would develop shooting 3 under and shooting gap. How can you possibly get in that level of accuracy doing it? And I've been asked this many times, so I want to kind of go over that. Guys, it's not hard. It's not, but it takes dedication and discipline. And when I say discipline, the discipline is in one very simple thing. It is in your anchor and your execution. If you can develop the anchor point that gets you to hitting where you look, figure out what that is and do it every time without changing, you'll be there. It's just that simple. Now, I practice a lot, especially lately with my hunting setups, what I'm going to actually hunt with. You know, heavier arrows and whatnot. And I'm gonna shoot one here just to show you guys kind of what I'm talking about. When you're shooting pure instinctive, it doesn't matter, especially when you have, like, say, a 3D animal or a live deer or whatnot. You don't have a definite spot to really see and look at, unless it's a target somebody shot a hole in and you can see that hole or something great. And a lot of the ranges you go to, you're going to notice a little bit of wear right there in the golden 12 ring where it's been shot by compound shooters multiple times. Sometimes you'll run up on that. But let's just say a real hunting situation, a live deer. A deer does not have that. He does not have rings. He does not have any of that stuff to really see and look at. You have to imagine it in your head. And that is the primal instinct that we have as bow hunters, is to be able to look at something and what we call pick a spot and put that arrow where we're looking. That simple, without thinking about anything else. So my entire drive with instinctive archery is geared toward the bow hunter. It's not geared toward the 3D shooter in general, though that is so fun and I love every minute of it. I'm always geared toward the bow hunter, the effective bow hunter that is going to put the meat on the table, okay? So how do you do that? If you decide to take a recurve or a longbow out and start shooting purely instinctive, the first thing you have to do is develop your anchor. That's right, develop your anchor. Get a grip on the bow that feels good to you, whatever feels natural that you're going to do every single time. And through shooting that bow at a relatively close distance, and I say 10 yards, give or take, you will develop really quick a process of form, if you will, that will show you where you're hitting. Okay, if you naturally hit high, as I've shared in some other videos, it's all in the elbow height and bringing your shoulder blades together and using back tension and getting your anchor correct to get it hitting where it needs to. If you're shooting low, then you're entirely trying to anchor too high. If you're shooting left of the target, then generally you're not bringing your shooting finger in tight enough into your face where it needs to be, and you're not in line. Your head is not in line with the string. I tell a lot of guys this. I was like, guys that come from shooting compounds and they pick up a recurve or a longbow and they've got what I call turkey head. Okay, you guys write that down. This is turkey head. You got to get rid of the turkey head. You have got to quit bringing your head up trying to look and see where that arrow is going to go like you're looking at the sight. Traditional bow hunters have to develop the ability to put their head into the shot like this. The head has to get in line with the arrow. It can't be up looking like you're trying to look up and see where the arrow's going or see a sight looking through a pin. You got to get rid of that. That's number one. Your head has got to get down, bringing the shoulder blades together, using your back tension to draw and hit your anchor that you want to hit. Once you hit that anchor, you don't have to hold it a long time once you've actually hit the anchor, because if you are focused on your spot, it's pretty much already there. You've, as I call it, you've already made that shot. It's just executing it. Because when you decide to shoot something, you make a decision, I'm fixing to shoot that. Your eyes line up with that spot. And you get your bow arm up and you get your bow in line. And when you come to draw and you hit anchor, it's already there. It's done, it's over. If you choose to hold it a few seconds, great and fine, if you can hold steady and you're not overbowed. And I find 1 or 2 seconds is very, very effective in instinctive shooting because it gives you just enough time to really hone in on what you want to shoot, okay? But the trick is not blowing the shot at the release. That's where it all goes wrong, guys. If you wonder, well, how can I not group? Why do I miss? Why do I shoot one good arrow, one bad arrow? It's because your release is varying somewhere. Somewhere you're not pulling through that shot the same every time. So when you make a good shot, make a mental note of it. What did I do to make that shot? How did I anchor? How did I draw? How did I release? You got to figure those things out, guys. And when you do, it will be like, okay, program your brain. This is what I need to do. And after you do that in repetition a few times, it will become second nature. That's the whole point of shooting instinctive, is to shoot enough the right way that it becomes second nature and you don't even think about making a shot. You just make it, okay? And that's why it's fun. And that's exactly why I do it. That's why I do not choose to use an aiming method, which if I did, I'm sure I would be really, really accurate if I did that, because I have tried it, and it does. It's just like shooting a compound, guys. It is very, very accurate. It is what it is. I just personally don't choose to do that method. I enjoy shooting traditional bows instinctive. I just enjoy that. So, move back on my dog, get in front of the air here. All he needs to get shot. He's 10 years old, been walking around here peeing on my targets in about every video I've had. He loves to do that. But anyway, I'm gonna shoot one right here, and I'm gonna show you guys what I mean, how I generally will do this. I'll stare at my spot, and I'll get my bow lined up, and I'll come into anchor, And as soon as I hit my good anchor and I know that my back tension's in there, I'm lined up, it's gone. And it's there every time. I just don't have to think about it. Like the old moose there. Dead on. It's as perfect as where I was looking as it could be. If I had put a dime on that thing, that arrow would have hit that dime. And that's what I do. I find my enjoyment in shooting instinctive to far outweigh any type of aiming method, personally, when I'm shooting good. Now, when I get to shooting bad, if I'm off or whatever, I quickly will realize, okay, I'm not doing something right that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not anchoring right, something I'm doing. And I'll identify what that is and I'll fix it real quick, okay? But when I shoot regularly, and guys, you say, well, how much practice do you have to do to stay accurate shooting instinctive? I say you need to shoot every at least 2 or 3 days. You need to at least go shoot 4 or 5 arrows minimum every couple of days just to stay warmed up, stay in the groove. If you can shoot more than that, great. But at least stay brushed up on it just a little bit. And one other thing I want to share with you guys, I think you'll find this interesting. Let me find the right one here. There it is I will shoot my actual broadhead setup. I had that broadhead stuck down in there with all the field points and they kind of grabbed. I will shoot my broadheads, especially right before hunting season, probably more than I do field points. I will take my heads, because I'm going to sharpen them anyway a little bit. I'll brush them up with my DMT difold sharpener and whatnot, and I've got the Archery system and all that, but I'll sharpen my heads right before I get ready to hunt, so I shoot them a lot. And they fly when they're tuned to the arrow. When my broadheads are really tuned well and they spin like a top, they hit exactly where my field tip arrows hit. They do. I never have a problem with that. But I like to shoot my broadheads because there's a visual. Because when you draw, even if you're looking at that spot, your peripheral vision sees this big old blade out on the end that you didn't see before. So you got to be aware of that. And if you don't think I'm being honest about this, try it. Put you a big old broadhead on there and draw it and see if your peripheral vision does not notice that thing sitting there. You're not looking at it, you're not aiming with it, you're not anything. It's just like all of a sudden in your sight picture, here's a big old blade in your sight picture out there. So you need to get used to that. Get used to it being there, okay? Versus your field tip where it's not. Because with the field tip, you've got nothing but your wide open side picture of your target, where you want to hit. Your relative don't even see the arrow. But all of a sudden, you come to full draw and here's this big blade by your hand. You can tend to look at that and it can have an effect on your shooting. So you need to get used to that where you pretty much ignore it, okay? And that's just part of getting used to shooting with broadheads on, especially big heads. But I like to shoot them just to make sure that I'm doing the same thing with a broadhead as I did with a field tip. So like I'll shoot the old bear there, just like we was gonna kill that bear. Just like that. He's dead as a hammer. That's why I like shooting broadheads. And they do shoot exactly like my field tips do. They do. I'll shoot one more of the field tips here. And guys, I just love it. I love shooting instinctive because it's fun. There's nothing wrong with anybody's, different styles. Everybody's got different styles. But shooting instinctive, especially when you master split finger shooting, which forces you to have to look at a spot and shoot it, it really gets fun, guys. It does, man. I'm not kidding you. As far as my anchor, let me cover this for you real quick. My personal anchor, how I found my way to shoot consistent after, say, 2 solid weeks of shooting split finger, I became as accurate shooting that way as I ever was shooting 3 under by putting this finger into this bone here, my cheekbone, if you will. And as it went into the cheekbone, my thumb being down, this goes in the pocket right here under my ear, and my head goes on it just like I did 3 under pretty much. But it's called my 2-point anchor. So when I come into anchor, this is under my ear and my head is down in line with the arrow, and I'm looking at that spot and it's just on. It's aligned, it's there. It's easy, guys. It's super, super easy. So I'll shoot one more and just show you guys what this thing does. We'll shoot the old hog out here. And the wind's up about 20 miles an hour today, guys. That's why I like heavy arrows, because the wind doesn't typically affect them too much, even in a crosswind. That's why I like them. There he is. Boom. And once you figure this out and you get the hang of it, you will probably never go back. I promise you guys. I'm telling you the truth. I crave shooting a bow. I absolutely crave it. I cannot wait to get home and get a bow in my hand just to go shoot a couple of rounds. And I feel like the only thing that drives me to doing that is the feel of the bow, the flight of the arrow, and being able to actually hit something that I'm looking at, and keeping my muscles in tone, my process down, keeping everything programmed and right for that moment of truth. Because I'm always preparing for that day that I'm in the tree or in the ground blind and that deer walks up and I'm about to take its life. I gotta be ready. That's why I come out and I shoot like I do. And you don't have to shoot every single day. No, you don't. But you need to get your process down and stay brushed up. That's for sure. I'll shoot one more, guys. We'll take us a long shot out here. I'll take a long shot at the old wolf target out there. He's definitely on out there. I'll take one at him. Bam, about 2 inches high. I gave him a little too much gas. Let me focus in on this thing here. We're gonna ring him. There it is. He dead. That's so fun, guys. So incredibly fun. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. At all distances. And what you limit yourself to on shot distance is up to you. I don't have a recommendation for you. It's whatever you're capable of shooting and feel like it's an ethical shot. If you feel like 15 yards is your max, then stay with 15 yards. If you feel like 10, then so be it. Let it be 10. If you feel like 30 yards is, then so be it. But be aware, as I shared in a video where we documented the drop, be aware, guys, that every deer you shoot at, no matter how quiet you get your bow, every deer is going to try to duck that arrow and get out of the way between 15 and 25 yards. If he's under 15 yards, I don't believe he's got time. If he's past that, they just tend to not react. But if they're in between 15 and 25 yards, you could all but guarantee they're going to drop almost a full body length. So you had better focus on the lower 1/3 right behind that crease and allow for that duck and turn, because they are going to do it every single time, guys. Be aware of that. Keep it in mind. There's not a bow quiet enough and there's not a bow fast enough to get around that. So always remember that, guys. Thank you for joining me, and I pray that everything will give honor and glory to the good Lord above that is so incredibly good to us, guys. I love you so much. I thank you for being a part of our channel. Thank you for tuning in with me today, and I hope and pray that I don't offend anybody that chooses to shoot other methods. That is not my intent whatsoever. I love every single thing about traditional archery, whether you're a gap shooter, a split vision shooter, an instinctive shooter, whatever, guys. I love you all, and I'm so glad you chose the stick bow to do your thing with. So I will never put anything or anybody down. It's just that I want to express why I love shooting instinctive so much, and why it's so rewarding to me, this method that I have chosen. And there again, everybody's different, but that's just what I love doing, guys. I absolutely love it. And I encourage you, if you hadn't tried it, hey man, get out there and try it. If you have any questions or whatnot, shoot me some comments there below, and I'll be glad to answer them and help you out any way I can, guys. Thank you. Until next time, God bless you.